one fact is, during 1960s, the food production of India was 80 million metric ton. In 2015, it increased to 250, 264 and all these things. On an average, it is 250. And 2025, the expected or the need will be of 300 million metric ton as per the population demand. The fertilizer in 1960 was 1 million metric ton. Now it is 25. Out of this 25, 15 to 16 million metric ton is domestically. Rest of the thing we have to import. Then we have in 2025, the requirement will be of 45 million metric ton. 5 or 6 will be from organic. Rest will be from the chemical fertilizer. Then what are the negatives of chemical fertilizer? We know, okay, what was the negative of this YHY, high yielding varieties? They failed. The same reason is of the chemical fertilizers. Now fertilizer in India is being divided into 3 types. First, as on the basis of the subsidy. Tell me the rough subsidy of fertilizer. कितना subsidy है roughly?
Food fuel fertilizer 30,000 crore.
30 ये कब हुआ? Sir, fuel, this you are talking about before 2013 when the fuel prices were too high. Now fuel is 30,000 crore and fertilizer is 70. ऐसे थोड़ी change हो जाता है इतना जल्दी. This is what the fertilizer is 70k. This fertilizer again is being further divided into domestic urea. Then we have the imported urea. And we have this P and K. Okay? This N urea is basically comes from the ammonia, which comes from the natural gas. Anyways, this P and K comes under nutrient based subsidy, which came in 2009-2010. What is nutrient based subsidy? What do you mean by nutrient based subsidy?
Sir, India is importing urea.
It is not an astonishing fact that India is importing urea or not. It's a very well common कि yeah, we are importing urea a lot. Maybe for 1 year if you're talking about, so maybe we didn't import. But roughly, because इसके लिए एक policy भी थी to increase the domestic production of urea. What is the name of that policy? New Investment Policy. So NIP we started I think in 2012 or something to increase the domestic production of the urea in India. The present value of domestic imported urea, एक बार Google कर लेना कोई. Next, so this is what we have. So this urea subsidy, we have P and K. So urea subsidy is more than 50. 50k crore is the urea subsidy. So our focus should be more on the urea. Why we give less subsidy in case of NBS? What do you mean by NBS? Nutrient based subsidy में होता क्या है?
So fixed quantity amount is
fixed amount of subsidy is being given. It's not that if the market prices will increase, the government subsidy will increase. It's not like that. But in case of urea, how urea subsidy goes? It is on the basis of cost plus basis. Cost plus basis means उससे पहले है कि it is on the basis of the end use based subsidy. It means if urea is being used for fertilizer, it is subsidized. If urea is being used in chemical industry, it is not fertilized. So always there will be diversion from agriculture sector to the, this may be outside India, because in Nepal and Bangladesh, in India the price is roughly 250 rupees. Rough price I am telling you for a 50 kg bag. This is what the price of the urea is. In case of Nepal, in case of Bangladesh, Myanmar, it's more than 600 rupees. So obviously there will be a diversion from India to these countries as well as to the chemical industries. So it means whenever this is MRP, 250 rupees is the MRP. There are roughly 20-25 companies which are making fertilizer, which are making urea in India. The problem is, if your cost of production, and this is subsidy. Now think about this situation, that when the government is saying 250 rupees is the MRP. Now if the cost of production, for example, is 500 rupees, this is fixed, 250. This is cost of production and this is subsidy. So cost of production minus subsidy is the MRP. If the cost of, in this case the government has to give 250 rupees as the subsidy. If the cost of production is 1000 rupees, tell me the subsidy burden? 750 rupees, because MRP is fixed. What in other words we can say, the government is subsidizing the inefficiency of these farms. because we have only limited firms, 23 exactly, 25 firms we have, and they are only producing this fertilizer, and government is giving subsidy on the basis of this cost plus basis, which means if their cost of production increases, the subsidy given by the government increases, which in other words says the government is subsidizing the inefficiency of these firms. Clear है? So this doubt तो नहीं है इसमें कोई? Sure? Facial expressions are different. Anyways, so this is what the cost plus subsidy basis is.
Sir, in NIP you said to increase domestic production of
Yeah, of course. So government is incentivizing the domestic production of the urea, and to domestically produce urea, 2-3 options. It's one thing that they are promoting is the gas-based production of the ammonia. This is one. So if it is a gas-based, they are incentivizing it too much. Anyways, so this is what one of the problem is, the cost plus basis. The second thing is this diversion वाला यहीं पे cover करेंगे. The diversion problem says कि only 35% is being used by the intended customer, beneficiary. बाकी सब rest 75 चला जाता है. 75% is the waste. अब वो कहाँ जाता है? कहीं 25% जाता है, कहीं 30% जाता है, कहीं 10% जाता है. हो गया क्या? Roughly 75, 65. So ये 35. This should be 65. So 65 is being waste. 10% is being used by the rich. 25% चला जाता है ये cost plus basis पे, and 30% divert हो जाता है. Maybe outside India, or maybe the chemical industries, dye industries, paint industries and all. Okay. So this is what the rough this thing. Out of the 65%, so only 35% of urea, which roughly means 18,000 crore, is what is being given by the government to the intended beneficiaries. Rest is what the waste is. So you have to stop this wastage. This was recommended by survey. So it should not be diverted. So diversion को कैसे रोका? How to stop the diversion? This neem coating. So neem coating is a major thing through which you can divert it. So ये stop हो गया. The cost plus basis के लिए they said कि it should not be on the basis of cost plus basis. Privatize कर दो actually इसमें. This was the sin. And the rich वाले के लिए they said use jam, DBT and all these things to exclude them. This is one. अभी तक ये नहीं बताया what is nutrient based subsidy means. What do you mean by nutrient based subsidy? In case of normal it is total whatever on the MRP you are giving the subsidy, but in case of NBS, how you are deriving NBS? The value of NBS for Delhi is same as the value of NBS in Haryana or different? No, it's different. It depends on the fertility, the soil components of that particular region. On the basis of that thing only you are deriving the value of NBS. So different regions, different subsidy given by the government to the manufacturer. Cumbersome process, complex process. Why to involve in this rather than producing this P and K? Let's produce N only. So companies started shifting from making P and K to N only, which further increased the subsidy burden of urea, which further distorted the fertility of the soil, because NPK ideal ratio should be 4:2:1. So it has been distorted, and on an average in India it's like 8 or 9 is to, we can say 8, 9 is to 3 or 4 is to 1. It depends state by state. In few states it's like 28 is to 2 is to 1. On an average, one more second, on an average the urea consumption in India varies. It's in Punjab it's 200 kg per hectare. In Haryana it's also 200 kg per hectare. Indian average is more than the world average. The world average is, ये fact तो याद नहीं रहेगा, एक रह जाए 200 kg is not that a big deal. The world average is 80 to 85. Indian average is more than 120. This you can cram. The Indian average usage of urea is more than 120 kg per hectare. The world average is 80 to 85 kg per hectare. Now within this 80 kg, 85, again it varies. Brazil and all में 50 kg से कम है. In India also, in northeast and all, it is less than 50 kg. Why it is less than 50 kg in northeast? होता क्या northeast में? Why they don't use horticulture? Organic तो सिर्फ सिक्किम में होता है. Land तो है ही sir. The density, population density is not that high. Hilly area में किसने कहा कि we can't use fertilizer? Fertilizer cannot say please don't use me in the hilly areas.
There are two reasons. One is organic fertilizer they are using. Second is they are shifting.
The thing is zooming. Shifting cultivation is a major problem. That is what the thing is. Yeah, somebody was asking the question.
Sir, why is the N not included in NBS?
That is a question that you should ask from the government. The problem is if you will include the majority consumption is the N. Now we have this N, we have this urea subsidy being given by the government. Tell me how many farmers actually use this subsidized bags. It means how many farmers are getting urea at the rate of 250 rupees per 50 kg bag. Very less means कितना होगा? First tell me Indian average and then tell me the average of Bihar and West Bengal and Odisha. Rough value. Why we are not including urea in this NBS? Because there are some economic solutions and there are some practical and political solutions. The Shanta panel said not even 50% of Indian farmers are getting urea at 250 rupees. This is when it is free, when it is subsidized. Think about a situation when this will come under this NBS. In case of Bihar, Odisha and West Bengal, it's 100%. 100% farmers of Bihar, Odisha and West Bengal, they are forced to purchase urea at much above 250 rupees per 50 kg bag. This is what the practicality thing. This is what Shanta panel said. So that is why the government is not putting urea into this thing. Any other doubts? Creating solution is the work of the government. Finding the solution. Our work is just to criticize it, appreciate it or depreciate it. That's it. Exam perspective के लिए इतना बहुत है. Then we have, this is finished. Then we have canalized. So what is canalized means? Last survey में आया था.
Selected firms are allowed to.
Only 3 firms, to be more specifically, only 3 firms are allowed to import the urea. Only 3. And they estimate it, and they are usually the government firms, so their estimation can go wrong. It can go wrong. Suppose they estimated the requirement is only of 5 million metric ton, and maybe the actual requirement is 10 million metric ton. Because if you will import more, the government has to give more subsidy. So the government, to decrease the subsidy burden, they can say the actual requirement is not 10 million metric ton, it's just 5 million metric ton. So this is why the canalized means only 3 companies are allowed to import urea in India. Then we have this not in NBS. When urea is not in NBS, it changed the N is to K ratio, and which is decreasing the soil fertility, increasing the presence of urea and all, which also leads to eutrophication and all. क्या होता है eutrophication? Increasing the nitrogen and all these things component. Then we have some policy issues. So what if, when eutrophication increases, the biological oxygen demand increase or decrease? Increase, decrease. When eutrophication is more, biological oxygen demand increase or decrease? It increases. So it increases, not decreases. Somebody said decreases. Don't pinpoint. Policy issues. स्कूल में होता ना सर ये था. Policy issues. At present is the subsidy government is giving on urea or P and K. Government is not giving much subsidy for liquid based fertilizer and for the organic fertilizer as well as biofertilizer. So it means indirectly you are not promoting this liquid, organic and biofertilizer. So government should give focus on this thing. These 2 recommendations, they were not in economic survey. A standing committee was set up and these are the recommendations of the standing committee. Last year they gave recommendation. Standing committee recommendations. Just before this thing, you are going to attempt means. What you have to do is a very famous website, PRS. As per you will get the bills as well as the recommendations of the standing committee. Just select 20 or 25 recommendations, standing committees, and just cover these 20 or 25 topics. Okay? So this standing committee was on fertilizers and pesticides. So this extra PRS work you have to do. No institute will cover it, of course. So this is what we have. They should give subsidy to all these fertilizers also. Then we have the regulator. So if you want to notify that this is a new chemical fertilizer, at present it takes a lot of time. So you have to change the existing scenario, and there should be a separate regulator for this, and that regulator should be FDRA, Fertilizer Development and Regulating Agency. This is again the recommendation of Standing Committee. Then we have what is the solution. These are the problems. The solution is decanalized, simple. Then it should be DBT and BAPU. So Shanta panel said about DBT. क्या कहा था उसने? Any idea? Any idea what Shanta panel said about fertilizer? Government accepted it actually. Now we have DBT in fertilizer. At present, I think from last budget we accepted it that there will be DBT in fertilizers. So Shanta panel said, yeah, there are a lot of problems. So let the farmer decide whether they want to purchase N or P or K. Now you are forcing the farmer to purchase N because you are not giving too much subsidy in P and K. So Shanta panel said, give them 7,000 rupees per hectare. And they should decide whether they want to use N, P or K. Then we have bring urea in NBS, simple. Then FDRA and policy issues, what are the negatives of this thing will be the solution. Then more micro irrigation and all should be more crop per drop, that gram, sinchai, yojana and all these things. So all these are the one more solutions in case of this irrigation. Then we have reverse SEG concept. क्या होता है ये? What is reverse SEG? Not to promote SEG is reverse SEG.
You relocate your SEG to some another country and then you purchase the product.
Yeah, suppose this is India and this is Iran. We set up on reverse SEG Iran. So what SEG means? SEG means you want to incentivize the export. Reverse SEG means you want to incentivize the import. So in normal scenario, if you are importing if you are incentivizing import, it means your dollar is going down, the reserve for dollar is going down. In reverse SEG concept, rather than setting up a SEG in India, you purchase the land in Iran and you set up SEG here. Now because the input cost in Iran will be less, for example in case of petroleum, so crude petroleum, the cost of crude petroleum in Iran will be less, Iran, Iraq and all. So you will purchase the input, you will refine it, maybe you will make the fertilizer, and then because it is subsidiary of Indian company and India, the trade will be in rupee and not in dollar terms. So to decrease it and to decrease the reliance on foreign industries and foreign countries, you started purchasing the land. Of course, Iran government will give land to Indian government. This we are not talking about only private entities. This we are talking about government and government business usually. So when Iran government will give you a piece of land, maybe a PSU will set up business in Iran. Maybe this is what will be regarded as the reverse SEG. समझ में आ गया? कि rather than setting up an SEG in India and exporting, this is what the focus of the SEG is. Here what you are doing is you are purchasing, you are setting up a SEG in Iran. To do what? Not to export but to import. And why to import? Because the transaction will be in rupee terms as well as it will be cheap. Because when you are importing the raw material, so it includes some residual component as well. कुछ तो residual होगा. उसके लिए you have to pay this transport and all these things. So remove this thing, refine it at some foreign place only, at some foreign SEG only, and then just import the final goods. Because Indian company है ना. This is Indian company only. This is our place only. So this is India. Suppose ONGC है and we have OVL. So ONGC OVL dollar में क्यों करेगा? They will do only in rupee terms only. So that is one more benefit of this reverse SEG. The major benefit will be the decrease in the cost. One more benefit will be the saving of the dollars. समझ में आ गया? Now you have to use this reverse SEG concept in your answer. कहाँ करोगे? I don't know. At least here you have to use, but you can use this reverse SEG concept anywhere in your answer.
But sir, when it comes to purchase of anything or giving salary to Iranians who are working in that company,
it depends actually if you are recruiting majority of the Iranians or you are recruiting some Iranians and something. Of course, dollar will be spent. That is not a scenario. But earlier you were, suppose you were total spending in dollar term was 100 rupees. So now you can decrease it to 70-80 rupees plus some transportation cost. Because when you are importing the crude oil, there is some residual thing. So now you will remove it. That will not be counted in your transportation cost. So of course that will not be like $100 will be totally gone. Now it will be totally in rupees. If you want to do the trade in rupees, then you have to sign this swap agreement that we signed with Japan. $50 billion ka swap agreement. That we will do the transaction, we will do the trade only in our local currency. Then we have the cap on subsidized bags. So at present, anybody can purchase, big farmers. They are also purchasing this urea. They have jugaad also. So maybe they are purchasing at 260 rupees. A small farmer or marginal farmer is purchasing at 300 rupees. So what they said is, put a cap on the subsidized bag. Again recommended by Shanta panel. Then we have promote organic farming and all these things. Okay? Any doubt in this fertilizer wala?
Sir, in the regulator you said tank consuming. What is this tank consuming?
If suppose you want to start and within urea and new fertilizer, you need a license for a new type of fertilizer. You have to take permission from the government. You have to take license. So at present it is fertilizer ministry deta hai, chemical ministry deta hai. So take time. So uski jagah rakhe independent regulator should be there. Take a scenario, there is no RBI. So kaun dega permission? Ministry of Finance. So they are going to take more time. So put a separate regulator for this thing.
Sir, what is FDRA? Fertilizer?
Development and Regulating Agency.